the three of us have literally been at loose ends for like an entire week because the book outlet website we spend 90% of our time on has been down. And I think like half of the conversations we have is just us being like, man, I can't believe book outlet is still down.
I just don't know what to do with myself.
All we talk about is
Like,
how we can't have
seriously?
unhealthy book buying habits. Welcome to another episode of Midlight Crisis, a real podcast hosted by three grown-up biologists revisiting books from our teens, and it's totally cool. I am Sophie, and as always, I have a randomly generated fantasy name for this episode, which today honestly is probably more sci-fi than anything, but I'll let it slide. My name is Darkwise Planet Builder.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I feel like I don't know that I'm a character or a main character. I think I'm, when they talk about the lore and they're like,
yeah.
and then Allegasia was made by Darkwise Planet Builder.
Yeah.
The elder god. So I think that's who I am today.
I feel like if you reversed those, it's a video game title. Like Planet Builder, Darkwise.
I'm
like,
definitely
oh,
like
man.
a dwarf, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
Space dwarf.
You're a space dwarf god.
Yeah, for sure.
You're like the guy. Isn't there one in Endgame? No, Infinity War.
Whichever one of those movies.
One of those ones that he makes Thor's new hammer, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking too. Yeah.
I was thinking of another World of Warcraft reference, which would make it 3 episodes in a row, and I'm not going to do that. So let's say your thing.
Sure.
Anyway, how about you guys?
My name's Sam, and today you can call me, I love it so much, Stargator Lone Killer.
Whoa.
Stargator? That's such a good name.
I know.
Damn. I think we're in the same universe. Like, I think maybe we're in the same zone.
Yeah. I'm like the bounty hunter that adopts a young alien child.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
In the movie Hannah writes.
Yes.
Yeah. Uh-oh. Do you think you work with Sophie's character from a couple episodes ago that was something or other Death Lone?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Did I put Lone in there twice? That's embarrassing.
Probably.
I have something on my mind. I'm a millennial. Well, anyway, I am also here, and my real life name is Hannah, but for the purposes of this episode, you can call me Gablin Candlegem.
Candle Gem.
Gablin Candlegem. Wow. I sit at a tavern and tell stories, I think.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe like a merchant.
Yeah.
A trader. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Gablin.
Crystal Gem.
Candle Gem. Thank you very much.
Oh, sorry. Candle Gem.
Candle Gem.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm an NPC.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're all NPCs to some degree.
True.
Yeah,
I think Sam could be a main character.
Yeah, actually, yes. I agree with that. We'll be the side characters to Sam's main character.
Exuding that main character energy.
Oh, man.
She's always been the YA main character anyway, so.
It's true.
Thanks, guys.
I'm the interesting sidekick. So we read 2 more chapters of Eragon this week, shockingly. Why don't you guys tell us what happened in them? These 2 extremely long chapters with a lot of stuff.
So much stuff.
So chapter 7 is nice, short, and sweet. Eragon finds out that Roran is planning to take a new job, which puts Eragon in a foul mood. So he goes to visit his dragon, who turns out is kind of sassy, which I dig. And then Aragon decides that she needs a name, so runs a few names by her. Jeez.
Oh dear.
By her. But he does try to name her male dragon names, apparently, which she's not about. And then they finally together settle on. Oh no, did I write this out wrong? Saphira?
Saphira.
Saphira. There we go.
Yeah.
I'm clearly the linguistic
Yay.
one in this group.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's chapter 7, A Name of Power. Hannah, what happened in chapter 8?
Okay, in chapter 8, A Miller to Be, Roran reveals his apprenticeship plans to Garrow, who is shockingly chill about it. Aragon, on the other hand, grows increasingly less chill about it over the 2 weeks while Roran is preparing to leave, and spends most of his time angsting about it to Saphira in the woods. That's pretty much it. Saphira is nervous about revealing herself to Aragon's family, so Roran is about to leave without ever having known about her, and that's the end of the chapter. I feel like this could have been one chapter between the two of them, but that's fine. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, I get that, like, I don't know. I have this problem a lot when I'm writing where I write a line or like a scene where I'm like, oh, hell yeah, that's like an impactful chapter end. But then like 4 paragraphs later, I write another one and I'm just like, damn it. So like, I think I almost said Aragon. He's not the writer. I feel like, yeah, you kind of want the impact of like, yeah, she got a name and she loves it. And then the next chapter is not a lot.
Yeah. I do appreciate short chapters. I think we might have talked about this before. Like, I like books with short chapters much more than books with long chapters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't mind it. The only issue I have with short chapters is in this specific context of we read 2 chapters at a time.
Yeah.
And when they're 2 chapters that are basically like
4 pages
total, doesn't give us a lot to talk about. So let's see how long this episode is. Watch, it's gonna be like 2 hours long.
Yeah, we're gonna find something to yell about.
On the end of chapter 8, my first question is, was there just like some mad foreshadowing there? And is the rock that he gave Roran that's described in detail another dragon? Or is it just meant to be like symbolism of him not ever meeting Saphira?
Interesting.
Hannah knows this, don't you?
Yeah, I don't remember anything.
Is it another dragon? Is it one of the red or green or yellow dragons in the other books? But then why... Okay, but my question then comes from this. If it is another dragon, and he gave it to Roran years ago, then how is that embryo still viable if it's just been laying dormant in Roran's possession for so long? And all of a sudden, why did Saphira, like, hatch so quickly?
So there are cases of real-life animals with delayed implantation or delayed embryonic development. So it's not even outside the realm of possibility that if this polished rock that Aragon gave to Roran years ago is a dragon egg, it could still be a viable embryo. Even like from a human perspective, not discounting, or I guess not a human perspective because we don't lay eggs, but from an Earth perspective, it could still be reasonable even if you discount the possible effects of magic. And like a common thing with magic and like sci-fi and stuff is the ability to like put creatures into like enchanted sleeps.
That's what I assumed it was, and then I was like, okay, did something happen in the prologue that allowed like the magic of dragon hatching to be reawoken? And obviously, like, I was like, oh yeah, magic. But then I was like, are there examples of reptiles in real life that can go years without hatching without some sort of like medical intervention? Like for humans, for example, to have viable embryos last through that long, they have to be maintained or frozen or under certain conditions. So I'm just like, but magic is probably the answer.
I know insects can do it. Like you can have insects where they...
Oh my god, we're back to the moths.
It's not... no, my other expertise. So brine shrimp.
Oh yes! There we go.
Yeah, like brine shrimp eggs, they desiccate. They dry out during the dry season? I don't actually know.
Mm-hmm.
But then once the water returns, they rehydrate and will hatch. So maybe, I mean, we're still not sure that a dragon isn't an insect.
It's true. But even within that, I know of mammals and birds that have like either delayed implantation or like delayed hatching. And then I just Googled it, and apparently there's a whole bunch of different reptiles that have delayed hatching or environmentally cued hatching, depending on like what the circumstances are.
Oh.
Things that, like birds. I don't know about reptiles. I would have to do some more research before like a previous episode. But non-reptilian birds, me, but birds.
Uh-huh.
I know some birds will lay their eggs asynchronously, but all of the eggs will still hatch within like a day or two of each other, which means that there is like some kind of cue that either the eggs are getting or that is like coded into the laying of the eggs, or like some behavior from the mother that makes it so that the eggs will not start to develop towards hatching until the mother has like laid the full clutch of eggs. And then there's also embryonic diapause or delayed implantation in mammals. I know of it mostly in seals, where the like mother carrying the embryo will like have the embryo fertilized, and then it'll just kind of hang out for a while, for like months, and won't attach and begin developing in the placenta in the womb until, I mean, I don't know what the cue is in mammals, but like until it's the correct time to do so.
Yeah, in an egg,
Yeah, that's...
I'd be interested to know. Maybe we'll look it up for next time, because like implantation, yeah, we'll forget. But in like implantation, it's still being like supplied by the body.
Exactly.
Like in an egg,
how does it last that long?
birds, it's only like a couple days, because it'll be once the mother starts brooding.
Right.
Like the heat triggers it to start developing.
Okay.
See, we all know the answer is magic.
The answer is magic, but we don't want it to be.
But I don't want it to be.
Or they're insects.
No!
Yes. Or they're reptiles. I just found and very quickly read the abstract for an article called Environmentally Cued Hatching in Reptiles. And it indicates that there, as of 2011, when this article was published, there are 43 known non-avian reptile species that have environmentally cued hatching, so their eggs will not hatch until some kind of external factor cues them to do so. So if this is, it like stands for dragons as well, which I am assuming are reptiles, whether Sophie agrees with me or not, maybe whatever the cue is that cued like Saphira to hatch for Aragon wouldn't have happened for this potential dragon egg of Rorin's. I fucking hate his name. Oh my god.
It's so hard to say.
It's so hard.
Rorin.
I can't say Rorin, I can't say rural.
Yeah.
My neighbors growing up had a cat named Rory, and it's just a nightmare.
Just a lot. I can't imagine the magic part has got to be...
It's got to be the main
longer
part,
than a couple months, because like I can't imagine an egg lasting longer than like weeks.
That's what I mean. I'm like, for it to last years, like we don't know specifically when Aragon gave Rorin the egg, but like for it to last years, that would have to imply that like every dragon egg has enough nutrients to supply the embryo to maintain viability for that long. So I was just like, it has to be magic. But
yes. If I remember correctly from later in the series, I'm pretty sure we find out that Saphira was in her egg for like a very long time before she hatched for Aragon.
Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty sure from like the later canon of this series that there is some kind of mechanism by which dragon eggs are able to remain dormant but viable for like periods of years until they have the correct conditions for hatching. I don't really remember much more than that though.
So is the catalyst for the dragons to start hatching like Aragon because he's named after some other famous elf and has like the magic needed? So now that Saphira's hatched, is Rorin's egg gonna hatch and like scare the shit out of him one day?
That would be
or
hilarious.
like, is it because Aragon like specifically bonded to the egg? Like, does the do the eggs wait for their dragon riders? Is that their is that their
Yeah.
cue?
I'm pretty sure the eggs wait until they meet the rider that they want. Again, though, I could be confusing it with Temeraire because that is what happens in Temeraire, and I've read that series more recently, so I can't remember for sure.
Fair enough.
That's fair. Yeah. I'm just speculating here because I was just like, really? Roran has an egg? He has a dragon egg?
I mean, it does fit in his hand. Like,
yeah.
Aragon's was big. This rock is like, he bounces it in his hand.
Is it just meant to be a metaphor then?
I think this egg, or this rock rather, is not an egg, and it's just a symbol of Aragon found something nice that he gave to his cousin, and now Roran is leaving it behind the same way that he's leaving Aragon behind. I think it's metaphorical, like you said.
Fair.
Okay. And then, like, Christopher Paolini wanted you to think that it's another egg by emphasizing how smooth it is, but in reality, it just has nothing to do with it. It's more just metaphorical. Okay.
I think so.
All right, chill.
Speaking of Roran.
Yes.
Listen. These, okay. No, this is like, you always have just like the pseudo medieval fantasy world that everything's in.
Yep.
Where it's just kind of feudal England.
Yep.
And
very European.
Very European and just like totally based on that, which is fine. You can not think too hard. You know how things are going to work.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I gotta say, there's some merit to a dude being like, man, I really like this girl and I want to marry her, but I can't do it until I have a job and I build a house for her.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, that's pretty chill. Being like, sorry, I can't marry you until you build a house for me.
Roran is stepping up to be a man.
Be a man.
Yep.
Like, that's a pretty compelling argument. Just like, I made a house. Will you marry me? It's like, I guess.
Weren't you talking in our last recording about how, like, humans don't have interesting mating rituals like building a bower?
That's a great point.
I feel like
right here.
You found it.
This is what I'm looking for. This is the
sexual display, right?
Yeah.
Look at me, I'm providing shelter. You can have so many children in this shelter that I've provided for you.
I feel like I've covered it in shiny blue stones.
Ooh.
Do you like it?
They're all going to hatch out into dragons. Surprise! I mean, that would attract me, honestly.
Yeah.
If someone was like, "Hey, I have a house full of dragons, but like real dragons, not like plastic ones," I'd be like, "Hell yeah!"
I mean, honestly, a house full of plastic dragons, I would go look.
I would also go look.
I would be like, yeah, I'll come over.
I've changed my mind. I no longer want 10 dogs. I want 10 dragons.
10 dragons. Yeah,
10 dragons and a fireproof house.
Yep. Yeah. I want 1 ice dragon, 1 fire dragon. Do water dragons exist? I want a lightning dragon.
Ooh. You know what? Probably. You can have whatever you want.
Great. The world is
in
my
Temeraire. Temeraire is like an academic dragon and also a wind dragon.
Wow. Hells yes.
I want an academic dragon.
So do I.
It's actually very interesting because it starts off with a very like kind of formulaic dragon rider thing that you would expect, and then as the series goes on, Temeraire like meets dragons from different cultures and is like, why is our culture different than this one? And he like reads books and like goes to, I think, Japan and like goes to Dragon University for a bit and is like, I want this.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
But now I'm in the military because like that's where my best friend Lawrence, it's very interesting. It's a good series. I want to go read it right now.
It's just like, I've decided I'm gonna go do that instead.
Goodbye, the podcast is over. I need to go reread a different dragon book.
My other favorite moment, just, where because we're reading it, where we have to overanalyze every single sentence.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The part I decided to overanalyze was when Aragon is mad about Roran leaving, and he goes off to complain to his perfect dragon,
Yes.
And it says, the dragon watched impassively, listening and learning. Aragon mumbled a few choice curses and rubbed his eyes. And now I'm just imagining this dragon learning like a bunch of curse words.
Yup.
I just, later in the book, just want Saphira to be like,
Yup.
That would be so good.
I just think it would be hilarious.
He also talks in the chapter after that one about how he's able to have full conversations with Saphira, but sometimes he has to pause and like explain the meaning of words, presumably because she's like an infant.
Yeah.
Aww.
But yeah, I'm imagining him like railing and swearing about Roran leaving, and Saphira just like sitting there like watching, and then the next day is like, so you said f***ing a lot. What does that mean? Hey, Aragon, what's shit?
What? Oh, you know those big dung piles you make? That's
yeah.
Yeah. Just points.
Oh man.
I think this is, I don't know why I'm disclaiming this, as if we don't know already. I think it's the dragon rider bond is like super cute. And I like that Aragon will like go and talk with her and she'll talk back and they'll have these like long conversations where they understand each other very deeply. I was also, as like an almost 30-year-old woman, struck by the obvious to me, but probably not obvious to the 15-year-old male writer situation where Aragon, who is the like older and presumably more experienced, you know, more mature one of the pair, goes to this dragon and just like unloads all of his emotional problems on her. And she just like sits there and listens and is like, yeah, tell me about your problems. It's like this. Swear this is like having male friends sometimes. Most of my male friends are lovely people and emotionally well adjusted. At least more so than I am. But every once in a while you get the one who's like, just because I'm a girl doesn't mean I can deal with your emotional problems. My dude.
Yeah.
Yup.
That's what dragons are for. Your emotional labor.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my god. But she is very eloquent for an infant. She has a lot of interesting things to say.
Yeah. She's sassy.
She's very sassy.
I like her sass.
She's now, this doesn't count as math. I went back and just added up how long it's been.
Oh, I did that too.
Okay, great. It's only been like 1.5 months.
Yeah, I guess about 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so her shoulder, I think, is over Aragon's.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so she's like very tall already. And
yes.
based on like body to wing ratio, she's probably like close to adult size.
That's what I thought, yeah.
Yeah. I actually did do some math on this.
Okay.
Nice.
Not a lot, but between like the chapters we talked about and the previous episode and this one, we do get like several points of like Saphira is about this old and about this size. So I graphed her approximate age versus her approximate height at her shoulder to see what her growth rate is like. And weirdly enough, it's like a very close linear association. Like the R squared is 0.9. Like it's a...
Oh.
The trend line fits very well in the data points that we were given. I did make some assumptions like on her size that are probably not really necessary to talk about. But what I got from these assumptions and this math was that at the point in this chapter where like Roran is getting ready to leave, she's probably about 1.4 meters high at the shoulder. Okay, she's about... Well, that doesn't make sense. Oh no, I was about to say, I calculated that she was about 1.4 meters at the shoulder, but that only makes her 4.6 feet tall at that point.
Well, only
at the shoulder, though.
At the shoulder.
Yeah, which is probably still higher than Aragon's.
Yeah, I mean, Aragon at 15?
Yeah, so I assume that Aragon is the same height as the average Canadian 15-year-old boy, which is about like between 5'6" and 5'7".
Okay.
And the shoulder is on a person according to this helpful drawing guide where it divides a person into 8 equal sections.
Oh, yeah.
Your shoulders are about like 1.5/8 of your body height.
Right.
So like, kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm not putting my thoughts into sentences very well right now, but basically what I wanted to get to with this is that with the assumptions and calculations that I made, she is about 1.4 meters high at the shoulder, and by the time she reaches 5 months, which is when Brahms-said dragon is sexually mature and therefore probably has that like fully grown 100-foot wingspan, she will be about 3.3 meters at the
Damn.
shoulder.
Okay.
Yeah, so she's about half of her like mature size at this point by my estimation, which makes sense given that she has a very linear growth rate for some reason.
Yeah.
And she's about halfway to being 5 months old. A little less.
You know, I didn't believe that Stephanie Meyer would do this kind of math. I kind of believe Christopher Paolini might have done this kind of math.
Yes.
Yeah. Like actually plotted out based on like other animals. He might actually have been like, okay, I just need to make sure like this is how fast a chicken grows, you know, or something.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of like I would believe it.
Yeah, I don't expect that he did, but if he came out and said like, oh yeah, I had like a growth chart all planned out for Saphira and the other dragons, it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. Or at least just looked at like the growth chart for like, I don't know, ostrich or some like a Komodo dragon or something.
Yeah. I did try to do some research into like comparable growth rates. And then I got really distracted because I saw an article about T-Rex growth rates.
Uh-huh.
And according to several of these articles that I saw, dinosaurs grew like much, much faster than modern reptiles, which makes sense because they were much, much bigger for the most part. And the thing was like, at some points in their development, T-Rexes could grow by as much as like 5 pounds a day, which just sounds really uncomfortable, honestly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that distracted me and which kept me from really getting any of the actual research I meant to do done is the fact that they were able to like age T-Rex skeletons by looking at growth rings in their bones. They being some scientists. I was reading about this on a museum website. And the result that these people came up with was that the Tyrannosaurus rex reaches sexual maturity and like full growth at about 20 years, which is like fairly late, but not unexpected for an animal of that size. But then this article also said that the oldest T-Rex skeleton they aged was 28 years old.
Oh.
Which is just like so, like what? These things are like prepubescent for the vast majority of their lifespan, for like more than 2/3 of their lifespan. And then they have like a couple years to do all of their reproduction and pass on all of their genetics and like perpetuate this cycle. Like that just seems so backwards to me.
Yeah.
Like I want to do more reading about this, but like what? They're only they spend that long being unable to like sexually reproduce, and then they just have to like shove it all in right at the end and then die?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it makes sense for something that's like hunting relatively dangerous prey, right? Like you see
That's
a lot
a good
of
point.
tyrannosauroids or like other meat-eating dinosaurs with like broken shins from like ankylosaurs, or you know, like they have they get real fucked up by their prey sometimes.
That's a good point.
Although they did find one. Sorry, this is a dinosaur tangent. They did find one. I think it was like a juvenile related to, oh my god, what are they called? Allosaur. I think it was a juvenile, some kind of allosaur or relative that like had a broken shin from an ankylosaur that had healed.
Oh, whoa.
Which is just like wild.
Yeah.
That a top predator could like break its shin, survive long enough for it to heal, and then just keep on keeping on.
Yeah. Well, I think that kind of thing is one of the features that some anthropologists use to determine the start of like human almost civilization. I think the one I read about was they found a skeleton of, I think it was a woman who had had her femur broken and then it healed. And it was, the point was like, this is a devastating injury to like a solitary predator. So this is evidence that somebody helped this person until they were able to heal and like go back to being a productive member of the culture. And that's probably not what happened with your Allosaurus, but now I'm thinking about Dinosaur Society, where like somebody gets their leg broken and all of their friends come over with casseroles and is like, don't worry, you rest up, we'll take care of you until you heal.
Have this ankylosaur casserole.
Yeah. That's wild.
I do they find like a dragon skeleton at some point? Do they do dragon paleontology?
I don't remember, but that would be exciting for you, wouldn't it?
Rad. I would love it so much. There was this book called The Natural History of Dragons, and that's basically what I wanted it to be. I wanted it to be someone being like, we're just gonna go do paleontology of dragons.
Oh yeah.
And then like I just had such high hopes for it being that, and then it was like a story about a woman and her life drama, and then also she was looking at dragons, and I was like, well, I probably would have liked it more if I hadn't just wanted it to be like a biology textbook.
Yeah.
So anyway, would recommend if you're ready for that.
If you're going into it with the right mindset.
Yeah, if you're going into it for like you want a story and not just someone being like, and here's how dragons evolved.
Did you guys ever read those like Dragonology books that were
Hell yeah.
Yeah, super popular in like the early 2000s. I had one that was this like big, like not soft covered. It was one of those like pillowy hardcovers.
Yeah.
And it was like red and had this green gem in the middle of it. And I think I still have it at my parents' house because I was obsessed with it. It's like all of these different kinds of dragons and like where they're from and like how they live in their environment.
Oh my god, that's cool.
Oh man, I was so into it.
I wish I had that.
Yeah, I remember it being rad.
Yeah. Any of our listeners who were, 12-ish in the early 2000s, you probably know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, or the Egyptology, or the
Egyptology. Yeah.
Oh wait.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't have a dragon one, but I know what you're talking about now.
Yeah, the big square book.
Yeah,
the big square books. Yeah. There was like a wizard one, I think.
Yes,
probably.
Yes.
Oh man,
good times.
I just Googled it and I'm having a memory overload.
Yeah, I think for me, the niche that, the book that filled the same niche for me, I don't think I owned that one, but I think I read it. But like same idea was the original Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them.
Oh my gosh, that was so good.
Which was like, it was like this tiny, it was like 4 inches and it was like 100 pages. Like it was so tiny.
Yeah.
And it was just like an addendum to the Harry Potter books. And I just remember reading it like a million times because it would be like,
too.
And here's the Kappa and whatever, blah, 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 blah. It's like, and here's the merfolk. And it would just do like a brief little natural history lesson about each of them. And I was like, this is the best thing.
Sophie, we have that in our house.
Oh my god.
I have it.
Oh my god.
Holy shit. Sorry, podcast is ending. I have to go read it.
Yeah, it's down there. I have like original copy of it too because I had to buy it when it was only like available through eBay. Like
wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've just never gotten rid of it. I remember asking my dad to have to like go find it on eBay for me because I was still too young to like find it myself. And I was just like, Dad, can you please find me like this one? And he found me Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, but he could not find me Quidditch Through the Ages. That one was like
we had
sold
Quidditch
out.
Through the Ages too.
I have both.
Yeah.
Oh man, they're so good.
Yeah. I don't want like the fancy new version. I want the original one that's just like this small shitty little paperback.
Yeah, that's exactly what I have.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh,
also on the Harry Potter note.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Did anyone else get like vibes that Aragorn was acting exactly like Harry Potter did in The Order of the Phoenix? Just like
Oh.
a melodramatic teenager.
I mean, they were both 15.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Like, literally when
Yeah.
he's having his little like moment with Saphira and like unleashing all of his emotional problems onto her, I was just like, this is very much reminiscent of Harry Potter in The Order of the Phoenix, because he
Yeah.
was very annoying in that book.
Yeah, here's the dramatic teen boy that I was missing at the beginning of the book.
Exactly, yeah.
Yep.
He's filling in that niche very well in this book.
Yeah. We still don't really get in his head, though.
No.
Like, this is not a book where we're hearing thoughts. Like, this
No.
is what he says is what we're getting.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is definitely a, like, plot forward story.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I feel no connection to any of these characters yet.
Oh, I'm already attached to Saphira, but
Oh, yeah.
maybe that's a me thing.
Yeah. I mean, her sass won her points, for sure, and she's a dragon, so she automatically gets points for that. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
she's doing good.
Yes, she is. She's a good baby. But yeah, she's like 2 months old at most at
Oh,
this
yeah.
point. And she's like, at one point, she says, the book says that Saphira catches an eagle, and instead of eating it, she releases it and says, no hunter of the sky should end his days at prey. Better to
That's a
die
good
on the wing than
line.
pinned to the ground. And I was like, Jesus, this baby dragon is more eloquent at like 2 months old than I am at almost 30. Like, that's not
Yeah.
fair.
Just this, like, beautiful sentence about, just great.
I was like, okay.
Just because I, like, legally have to say it.
Mhm.
It's so key that you only give boy dragon names.
Oh my god,
and
right?
Girl dragons,
Oh.
girl dragon names.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It's crucial.
Yep.
There are only 2 genders and names for both of them.
It is interesting how Saphira has, like, an inherent sense of her own sex and gender when she's grown up, like, outside of any
Yeah.
sort of influence that would, like, cause you to develop towards, like, one way or another. I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah. Also the idea that, like, I don't know, the vibe I got is that Saphira already was Saphira, right?
Yeah, like, she
Yeah.
chose her name, sort of.
Yeah. And so is it like a thing where there's a finite number of dragon names because there are a finite number of dragons and there's only ever one of each?
That would be interesting.
Oh.
Right?
I
Like,
interpreted it as he was, like, giving her the suggestion as in, like, is this your name? And she decided, yes, I like that. But I like your
Okay.
idea. That's fun.
yeah, because it was even the way that, like, he said it, where he said, like, he didn't say, like, do you like the name Saphira or anything like that. He was just like, are you Saphira?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
she's just like, yep.
I felt like that was more of the him having, like, a cool line to end the chapter on.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But I could be wrong.
I mean, that sounds right.
I don't know. I kind of like the idea that she was like, I already know my name and it's Saphira. Like, the Saphira
Yeah.
before me.
I will say the only thing I remembered from the scene where he names her, I, like, remember him suggesting a bunch of male names to her and her being like, you need to figure it out why this is wrong. But then the only other thing I remembered was he came up with a name he liked, but then didn't choose it because it was from a brown dragon. I was like, that's, like, kind of rude.
Yeah.
I don't know why that's the part that stuck with me for, like, a decade, but I was like, Aragon didn't name his dragon something because he would have been naming her after a brown dragon.
Yeah. Also, like, the implication that, like, he's run by all of these, like, quote unquote boy dragon names.
Yes.
He runs all these names by her, but then the part where he's thinking about girl names, he just thinks them himself and discards
Yeah.
a bunch of them. Like, he's
Yeah.
like, okay, but I ran all the other ones by you, but I'm just gonna think of a bunch of names and then suggest one.
Yeah. I was like, I don't like these ones, so I'm not even
Yeah.
going to table them as a possibility.
Yeah. I mean, I guess she can read his thoughts, but, like,
That's true.
uh
I did find it interesting that Aragon is, like, so determined to name her after a dragon that has already existed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, it's come up in, like, 3 different chapters of him being like, I need to find a name for her. So he, like, goes and talks to Brum, and then he, like, thinks about all of these other dragons. Like, you could just name her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, like, it's kind of weird to name something that's sentient when it's already sentient.
Yeah. That's why I like the, like, she was always Saphira.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do like that she at least had a say in it. He didn't just say, like, you need a name. I heard an
Yeah.
interesting one. What do you think of Valinor? Which was his first
Mhm.
suggestion, and she says no. And at
Yeah.
least he isn't like, no, you have to be this one. Like, he works with her
Yeah.
a bit, gives
Yeah,
her the choice.
exactly.
Why not be like, hey, what's your name?
I mean,
You
maybe
know?
she doesn't have one yet.
Yeah. I guess it's just sort of like, he's like, hey, you need a name. I'm gonna name you. Instead of
Yeah.
being like, you are clearly coherent and have, like, fully formed thoughts. What do you want your name to be?
Yeah.
It's fine.
It's fine. It ends up being a cute scene if you don't overthink it the way we
Yeah,
do.
the way we do. Unsurprisingly.
Yes.
I am mad that we picked another book that has mind reading in it.
I was thinking that too.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, damn.
Yeah, a few minutes before the recording, I was like, oh man.
Saphira and Edward, kind of the same.
Oh, I hate that. Don't ever say that again.
Okay, well, I've already said it, and you're gonna have to listen to it when you edit.
Ugh.
On that note, because we just sort of like, we're like, I don't want to think about this. I did look into, like, thought pattern reading as, like, an actual scientific thing.
Oh.
Just so I could, like, get a basis for where maybe this could have a biological explanation and not just be magic.
Uh-huh.
Long story short, it's probably just magic. But if you get an EEG, which is an electroencephalogram, right? That's the thing where they put all the electrodes over your head and then they can read the electrical impulses of your brain, and you can use it for, like, a lot of things. But in theory, they can read thought patterns with it as well, because, like, your thoughts are really just different conformations of neurons firing, which are like neurotransmitters and little electrical impulses. So an EEG, if, like, with the right prompts, like if they give you, like, word prompts, they can see that the way your thoughts are tending. So, like, a big one that I read about is, like, they can tell if someone has suicidal ideation if you say the word death, and then you can see how their brain responds to it. Yeah, the patterns.
That's interesting.
So it is, like, to some extent mind reading, but right, you have to be hooked up to an EEG. So, like, there is potential that, you know, with a magical connection, you're just reading the electrical impulses of a person's brain.
Right.
Which, yeah.
Yeah, that does almost make sense. Because Aragon does describe feeling Saphira's mental presence for the first time as, like, being, like, a new sense.
Yeah.
And there are animals that are capable of, like, feeling electrical impulses and electric fields and, like, feeling the impulses of, like, a heartbeat, right?
Yeah.
Like, sharks can do that.
Yeah, and so, like, since a lot of people, like when you're speaking, you're thinking the words a split second before you say them, right?
Yes.
So in theory, being able to read specific electrical impulses in your brain, you could read speech.
Interesting.
Yeah. So even though Aragon is, like, speaking, like, because it sort of seems like Aragon speaks out loud and she understands, but also when he just thinks a sentence, she understands.
Yes.
So it's probably not that he needs to speak out loud. It's that just the organization of speaking out loud to form the thought is what is communicating. Yeah. So, I don't know. Kind of interesting.
Yeah, that is really interesting. I've been, like, struggling to come up with literally any idea that would make this make sense that isn't just magic. So I appreciate you bringing that to the table, because I had nothing.
Yeah. So, I mean, it would, like, obviously magic is still involved because, like, to probably bridge the connection. But, yeah.
Cool.
I like
like
when
it.
magic isn't just like magic. Like I like when magic is like a force that like creates something within the bounds of like
Yeah.
logical explanation.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it like stretches reality rather than breaking it.
Yeah. I mean, breaking reality is also fine, but then I'm like, okay, I know what I'm in for with this book.
Mhm.
I also listen. I tried to go more in depth to be because I was like, wait, what are thoughts? And then don't.
Oh
do
god.
that. I don't know.
Oh god.
I
Yeah,
can't do
no.
neuroscience.
Don't,
No.
yeah.
Also, then you start going down a path where you start just like losing your mind because you're just
Yep.
like,
Yeah.
oh my god, every thought I have is just an electrical impulse of neurotransmitters, and all of it's predetermined by the pathways that my brain has taken before. And you're like, oh no.
Oh god.
Yeah, that's a new one to add to the
All of it's just a
Existential
biological
dread.
reaction.
Yep.
Don't love it. Anyway.
I often get stuck in the mental hole of a body is made up of cells, and like cells are made up of molecules, which are made up of atoms, which are almost entirely empty space.
Yeah.
And it's just like I often get stuck with the idea that literally everything that I am and have experienced is mostly nothing.
Yep. Mostly empty space.
It's mostly empty space. Like, not even just like air. It's just nothing.
Wow.
I hate
A
it.
lot of people are like, wow, being scientifically savvy is probably just like so cool. And then it's like, it also sends you into like the weirdest existential spirals.
Yep.
Where you're like, everything is mostly empty space, or my thoughts are just neurotransmitters.
Uh-huh. Or where you think about all of the bacteria that live on your skin and how you are basically a planet to them. And
Why
then
would
like
you do
what
that?
are you living on? Like, are we a bacteria to something else and we're just living on it and it barely even knows we're here?
Why are we doing this?
Why are we doing this? It's like 4 p.m. on a Thursday.
Like, seriously, why are we doing this?
It's not even.
I'm gonna
like...
just stop you both right there. Like, we're gonna end that. We're gonna go on to the next thing.
It's a work night.
I'm gonna go lay in bed and just contemplate my entire existence now.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, well, before you do that, we
Mhm.
should guess what happens next.
Yeah, probably.
Uh-huh.
Aragon discovers that there's only. Never mind. Keep going.
Okay, you don't even need the chapter title. The chapter titles. Aragon learns his thoughts are neurotransmitters. No.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, and loses everything. No. Okay, so the next two chapters are Strangers in Carvajal and Flight of Destiny.
Oh, he gonna fly on her.
He's gonna fly
He
on
gonna
her.
ride
for sure.
her.
He gonna fly on her.
He's gonna
feel
fly
like-
on her. I remember what happens after he does that.
I was gonna say, I feel like the more of this book I read, the more I don't exactly remember what's happening next, but the chapter title is like, wait, I think something like this happens in this chapter.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think it's kind of coming back to me.
Yep. Strangers in Carvajal. I
Yeah,
don't remember, but I feel like it must be some people showing up that precipitate this flight of destiny.
Yeah,
no?
I was gonna say
The
it's gotta be
elves.
somebody looking for the dragon egg.
Yeah.
Or,
Was
Yeah.
it like the
Urgles.
Shade or the Urgles?
yeah.
Someone bad.
Yeah.
And then Flight of Destiny is Aragon getting spooked and trying to fly away on Saphira.
Yeah,
Yep. Definitely. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
definitely.
I'd buy that.
The one thing I remember is that when he flies on Saphira, it like fucks up his skin because she is made of scales. And that's gonna be something fun to talk about later.
Oh, no.
Yep.
Oh.
Anyway, stay tuned or look forward for us talking about sharks because I think that's gonna come up.
Yeah. That's a good guess.
Uh-huh.
Oh no. I hope dragons don't have dermal denticles.
I feel like they might.
That would suck for Aragon.
It would suck for Aragon.
his
I'm pretty sure it does
lord
suck for Aragon.
skin.
Yep. So excited.
Yep.
Cool. Well, that's what's happening. Let's talk about what else we're reading. Yay.
Yay.
We're recording this one very close to the last one. So I'm still reading the last book I was reading, which is Bones of the Past. But I thought I would just shout out a book that I read previously about dragons, which is the Dealing with Dragons series. I guess it's the Enchanted Forest series. but
Oh.
Dealing with Dragons is like a middle grade
Yeah,
series.
wait. Like, that title is sparking something in me, but I don't remember anything beyond that. What is this about?
I've definitely mentioned it to you before because I think you'll really like it, but
Okay.
it's like a 4-book series, and the first book is like a princess in a classic fantasy world who decides she doesn't want to, marry the prince and do whatever, and decides to go make herself get kidnapped by a dragon.
Nice. I
And
respect
then
that.
she becomes the dragon's librarian, and
Oh,
yeah,
Wow.
chef, and it's just a great time. She and the dragon just become best friends.
Wow.
damn.
It's like entertaining writing, like fun writing, and the story's just kind of like silly and fun, and then also pretty intense. But yeah, it's a
Dang.
fun series, and they're like 400 pages because they're, middle grade books.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, that's my shout out because I didn't read a new book this week.
I managed to finish a book in 2 days because my new
Whoa.
job has me sitting at a microscope all day, which means I just listen to audiobooks all day.
Sweet.
So I read The Love Hypothesis, which is so good. Like the best rom-com I think I've read this year. It's
Dang.
great. It's a Kylo Ren and Rey from Star Wars fan fiction. But the only similarity is that the main guy character's name is Adam, like Adam Driver.
Oh my
who
God!
plays Kylo Ren.
Sorry, I want to be clear. It is a fan fiction that was turned into a book, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like the filing off the serial numbers thing that we talked about in Twilight.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think I haven't found the original fan fiction yet. I was gonna go looking for it because I think 2 of the characters are meant to be Poe and Finn, but I'm not 100% sure. So I want to like go find the original fan fiction and like double
Be
check.
sure. Yeah.
But like, oh my god, it was just so good. Like
So-
this book is getting hyped on Book Talk and everything, and it's worth all the hype it's getting.
So when you guys were talking about this before and you said it was like a Raylo thing, I thought you meant it just looked like a Raylo thing, but like it's
No.
literally...
Yeah.
It's actually like it started as a Raylo fanfic and it got published.
Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yep.
Yeah. So
I mean, the cover makes it extremely obvious.
it's so obvious from the cover, and like she does the characterization well, but like Rey I find is very much like, I don't know, she doesn't have much in the movies, and in the book it's kind of similar. But anyways, it's just good. It's really good. If you like rom-coms, read it. And then besides that, I'm currently reading A Deal with the Elf King by Elise Kova, because all I can care about is romance right now.
Yeah.
And that's that. Hannah?
All right. Yeah. I recently started listening to a new audiobook. This one is fiction this time. It's The Witch's Heart by Genevieve Gornichek.
Oh, I want to read that.
Yeah, it's a Norse mythology retelling.
Yeah.
So far, it's really good. It's been like kind of a cute slice of life love story about Angerboda and her husband and her children. And like so far, it's really nice. But based on what I think I know about the myth that I think this is about, I have concerns.
Uh-oh.
I'm very afraid to see where this is going to end up. But so far, it's great. It's really sweet, and I'm enjoying it a lot. In addition to that, on like a less, or I guess on a more important and more sobering tone, I started reading Honoring the Truth, Reconciling for the Future, which is the summary of the final report of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission of Canada. So it's like a fairly long report about the history and the legacy of the residential school system in Canada, which is an absolute travesty.
Yeah.
I don't really have words strong enough to describe how f***ed up it is, but I'm going to be learning even more of how it is f***ed up as I continue to read this report. So that's not something to look forward to, but something that's very important for me to know as a person living in Canada.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yep. What a f***ed up history we have, eh, guys?
So
Great. Love to know about all of the ways we have mistreated Indigenous people. Anyway, dragon books. Wow, they're super fun, aren't they? I'm a big fan of dragon books. Sophie, the one you were talking about reminded me that there was this book that I read, I think in grade 2.
Mm-hmm.
And the only things I remember about it was that there was a dragon and a boy, and I think they ran away from somewhere, and at one point they were living in a cave together, and I think somebody got sick or something bad happened and they had to figure it out. And I think the cover was purple, and I've been trying to find this book for years, and I don't know what it is.
Oh, is it not? It's not Dragon Rider?
No, the Cornelia Funk one?
Yeah.
No, I did read that too, though. That one was cute. No, I think it was it was a chapter book, Del Toro Quest level.
Dang. One day.
Yeah, if anybody knows of a chapter book that has a purple cover, and I think there's a white dragon and a boy in a cave on the cover, let me know. So now that I'm thinking about how people are nothing and books that I once loved are just gone from my memory, if you're enjoying this existential crisis, you should consider rating and reviewing our podcast on iTunes or your podcatcher of choice. You can talk to us and find fun-related content on social media. We are at Midlight Pod on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and all chapters of the show thus far are available on our website, midlightpod.podbean.com, and on YouTube.
And much like us as early podcasters, when Aragon and Roran spoke, the words did not come easily, and their conversations were uncomfortable. Kind of like today's episode, and y'all making me question everything. Thanks.
Anytime.
Sorry.
Love that. Love that for me. Love that for us.
Love that for us.
We're fine.